What's up? What's up? What's up, YouTube? It's your boy ChrisLeeTv back again with another video, with another interview. Today, I have my guy Matthew with me. Me and Matthew, we met on Twitter. Matthew, he got a CDL, and what I like about Matthew's story is that he was able to leverage his CDL and get into a different career. And that's what really drew me to Matthew. We had actually had some past communication when he was a driver. I'm saying? He was trying to figure things out, and I did my best to help out. But we're gonna get into this interview. I think it's going to be really good. You guys make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And Matthew, you want to tell us a little bit about how you got started with getting your CDL, and what was the whole mindset behind that?
Oh man. Well, I believe actually how I got my CDL was me and my there's another close brother, friend of mine, that we were doing security. Actually, I was actually a security officer before I became a CDL driver, or I got my CDL. We did as much as we could as being security. Like, you can only go so far up the ranks and get paid a certain amount. And I just knew that there was more than getting paid like $15 an hour as a security officer. Right. You know what I mean? We both of us ran two hospitals together. Mm-hmm. So one up in Gainesville, Florida, which you would call Gainesville, Florida, Palaca area, and then one down in Orlando. So we were going back and forth between Orlando and Gainesville like 2 or 3 days out the week. You know what I mean? So that's a drive. That's at least an hour. That's like an hour and 45-minute drive every single day, there and back. 100%. So you literally, so you can see, I mean, it was taxing me. And then of course the actual job itself, that's very taxing. And we just knew, I just knew there was more money out there. I knew there was more opportunities out there than just $15 an hour. For sure. And we had talked about getting on our CDL so we can get on the road, on a truck, all the aspirations you think of when you think about CDL, right? So we did it in less than a month. So we just buckled down, we saved our money up because we knew we had to go to school, right? We went ahead and did the whole Roadmasters way of doing it, right? Which I'm sure people already know about that. Our Roadmasters, Werner and all the Werner Enterprises trains their people. So we went through them, got the license, and we started hitting the road. That was like February of 2019. No, 2018, end of 2018, going into 2019. Right. Is when I got my CDL. I didn't really get hired until later on in that month. But once we did get hired, we ran teams basically. For sure. So yep.
So I want to ask, real quick before we kind of get more into that, what were some of the issues that you and your brother ran into, if any, when getting your CDL? You guys kind of seemed like you had your head on straight with saving up and paying for the CDL out of pocket. Is what I'm getting from what you said, which is I think it's a very smart thing. So you can pretty much do whatever you want to do out here. You're not boggled down by a contract or anything like that. Right. But what were some of the tribulations you guys went through in CDL school?
Oh man, traveling back and forth to actually do, get the license, because the school is in Jacksonville. You feel me? So we were driving every day back and forth to Jacksonville just to get the training. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm sure anybody that has been through any kind of trucker school, you only get 1 or 2 chances to take your test, I guess. From my understanding. And so, when you're there, everything's on the line, basically. You know what I mean? You don't put your bread up, right? You can't go back to your job because you told them to, basically fly a kite. Right. And so if you don't get this license, you screwed. So, we were just one. Driving back and forth was a huge nail, because we only at that time we were using my car. It was more economical at the time, to do that long hour drive, hour there, hour back. I think at one point we had got sick in the middle of the training. So I think one of either my brother or one of us got sick. I don't think it was me per se. I got sick a little bit later, but we would, we were sick while we was doing some of the training.
Right.
So doing the back end and you know what I mean? Like, oh man, there's so much stuff I can go into that happened while we were trying to get that. But basically we was broke when we were there too.
Give us a little bit, yeah, because you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, we were broke. We were literally like broke going to school. So we had to borrow some money at one point because the funds that we needed to pay for the actual license, you had to pay for your class and everything, right? So
right.
you had to come out of pocket. It was about like $3 or $4 grand at the time.
Yeah.
So it's either you got to get it, bite the bullet and make it happen, or you gonna take your ass home, basically.
100%.
So I always tell people, if you're gonna go do that, have enough money saved up, because you're not getting paid while you're in training.
Right.
License, you know what I mean? You got to pay for everything. I don't know how it works in each state, but here in Florida, you got the there's a fee to get the license, just like any other license. You pay for it in the state. You got to pay for the license to get the license.
100%.
Even after you pass the test.
Yep.
So yeah, man, we ran into that, had breakdowns, car breakdowns.
Wow.
It was crazy, man. It really was. But when we finally got on the road, started making some pretty decent money with the company we're working with. And then of course, you had your trucking issues with your company, whatever, depending on who you drive, or whoever you drive. So yeah, I think that's about it. I would go into some more detail, but that was a little. Some of the stuff we had going on was more with the actual training company was trying to like finagle us at one point, trying to say that we didn't pay all of our fees, and
Wow.
then they said that we didn't pay our fees, so they lumped it on to our what did they do? They lumped it on to like Werner, like I know, because I want to put the name on out there like that. But while we were in training, they said, hey, well, you passed your test, but you still forgot you got a little bit left of the loan that you got to pay, so we just gonna put it on your tab when you start working. And so while we were driving, we were paying off our CDL, the rest of our CDL. Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was
How does
so
that
crazy.
even? Yeah, I've never heard of that. I never heard of that.
Look, I still have like $2,000 left that I had to pay off on that when I was still driving with them. So finished paying it off, right? Finished paying it off, and then we left the company. It's just that simple. Because we weren't gonna deal with the shady stuff,
No, that's weird.
Right, it is weird because I ain't never heard of that before. But it happened, so we had to deal with it. It was some shady stuff going on at that particular trucking company. Now I'm sure other trucking training schools don't have those issues, depending on, because I think their loans and stuff through the government. I think that's how they do it.
Some of them, yeah. Some of them,
yeah. So for whatever reason, how we did it, because we paid out of pocket. I guess there was like a different procedure that we had to follow. I thought that we paid out of pocket was going towards that loan, the government loan or whatever it was.
Right.
But apparently the company was charging us something else. So
what would you give like type of advice for somebody who is paying out of pocket and
research a company?
Yeah.
Research the company. 100%. Ask them, are there any like what's the full price of the actual CDL, like test all that. You need to know what that price is before you know what I'm saying, you put any money out of pocket. We were just eager to get it, so we kind of rushed it a little bit. And that I guess that's probably my fault, but we were just hungry, you know what I mean? So highly recommend that.
No, that's great advice. That's real solid. Was there any paperwork involved in the beginning of that?
Yeah, there was paperwork involved, but it wasn't what we it wasn't what we had agreed to. You know what I mean? So, obviously, once we started like figuring out what was going on, we were like, oh, hey, y'all didn't tell us about this. You know what I mean? Y'all said this was the price. This is what we paid. And then on the back end, y'all said, hey, this is what y'all owe us. I was like, that's not in the paperwork.
So y'all took that on the chin.
Yeah,
y'all took that on the chin and got it taken care of. Yeah, got it taken care of. And kept pushing. So after that incident, like trucking didn't leave a bad taste in your mouth? Like,
no, of course not. Of course not. I mean, it didn't leave a bad taste in my mouth because I knew where we were going with it. You know what I mean? Like I knew that you know, once we got our feet wet, we would have access to other, you know, lines of trucking, and we'll be able to make more money. Like we knew we was gonna put skin in the game anyway.
So what
You
did
know
it
what I
look
mean?
like? What was that next step?
Oh, well, the next after we left that company, we were going more of a we tried to kind of go more of an
Hmm.
owner operator route. It was pretty decent. Seeing that we had a decent company that was working with us out of Chicago. I won't mention their name, but
That's cool.
um but they gave us a truck, and basically let us try it out. We don't have a
Right.
problem running loads, but once we started doing the numbers and realized, like, wow, this is a real undertaking, this is a real business. Like,
Hmm.
you can't fumble this. Like everything is on you. And
100%.
so that's what kind of led us more into saying we're gonna have to own our own truck. We can't borrow this truck from this person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure people have already run into that to some degree, right? Before they went full owner operator, they
Yeah.
may have leased it, what they call it, the
Lease
lease
purchase.
purchase. Yeah. So we were going that route because we thought that's what was going to lead us to being an owner operator. So long story short, that didn't work out.
Right.
Right. And we just went individually driving ourselves. Um, but
So
I'm
you separated.
trucking
You got
saving.
separated.
Well, we didn't separate. We just, we went our own routes as far as like driving trucks because, like my brother, obviously he's married. He's got stuff he's got to do with his family, and I wasn't married, obviously, so
Hmm.
I wanted to stay on the road a little longer. You know, he's got family business. He got to handle with
100%.
his,
I
so
understand. Yeah, I understand.
yeah. So me, I had no problem. I kept driving. So I drove with 2, 3 other companies after that. And that's around the time when I met you on Twitter.
Right.
So I was driving around. So yeah, it's been a interesting experience, man. Really trucking helped me open my eyes to a lot of stuff, though. It really
100%.
did. So
What was like the impact of Twitter with your trucking career?
I'm sorry, say it again.
What was like the impact of Twitter with your trucking career?
Oh, it showed me that there's other people out here that's driving for real, like
Hmm.
real life. You know what I mean? It is the internet can fool you a little bit about what you can make, and
Yeah.
um, you know, you know when you're on Twitter versus Instagram or Facebook or whatever, you get the real.
Hmm.
Like you see people breaking down. You got other brothers and sisters you can relate to, other
Right.
drivers that you can relate to. That's hey, I'm on I-95. Broke down in Virginia,
Yeah.
and you like, hey, I was just there, or I was on I-70 when they had that big a couple years ago they had that big pile up on the turnpike.
Mm.
About 2 years ago. You can also relate with other people. Obviously, no one wants to relate about accidents, but when trucking news comes up in the community, you can relate to it. You know what I'm saying? You can tell people, hey, look, the accident that happened on I-70 with the dude that almost went to jail for 200 years or whatever it was. I think
Hmm. Yeah.
we can relate to that because
Right.
we
Right.
drove
Right.
that road.
Right.
We
Right.
drove.
Yeah.
So when people say, oh, he could have stopped his car and he could have stopped his truck or whatever, like, y'all don't understand what that driver was going through.
Hmm.
We know. We
Right.
know up and down 70. It's crazy,
Yeah.
you know? So it helps that you have a community behind you. And that's
For sure.
important, especially in
For
any
sure.
career, but especially truck.
Um, Community. I think you're a big. You know what I'm saying? Big in your new community. I want to get kind of into that, like how you leverage your CDL, right? So the mindset behind you know eventually, you know what I'm saying, just phasing out of the trucking industry.
Right.
Can you tell me like how that started? Like what was going on when you started kind of looking and taking a leap into another industry?
Well, I would say it was more of a I still got the heart for driving trucks. Don't I don't tell anybody that
Yeah.
yeah, just because I'm not driving anymore doesn't mean that if You know, investment opportunities came up for trucks. I definitely would be in that. So I've never really, quote unquote, left the industry. I
Right.
just haven't been driving for a minute. But the reason why I got off the truck was because I realized that I can make a lot more and come back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you know, from my understanding, you know, you really only make real money when you have ownership in that.
Right.
Now you could drive a truck and be, you know, and don't get it twisted. I know some guys that's making some good money driving,
Mm-hmm.
but the ownership part is what piqued me the most. And I realized that I couldn't do it with the companies that I was driving with.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I said I had to break out, find another career that I can make as much what I'm making now or more than, and then come back and buy me a couple trucks and have them running. You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
But I'll still be in the industry one way or another. Um, and of course, you know, you get stuck with a couple companies and they fool with your money a little bit. That's
Mm-hmm.
another reason to want to get out too. So
Yeah.
that's a big motivator as well. So that's definitely what let me kind of going more of the adjuster route.
So what, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what motivated you to get the CDL. I know that you were security guards, but like as far as what it was, like you saw a truck pass by or you saw a sign like now hiring CDL drivers. Um, but it what was that for like the insurance adjuster? You can talk about that. I'm looking at my hands. I'm like, yo, this hand's darker than this one by so much.
You got the,
'Cause I be
the
driving.
yeah, that's what it does, right? You
Yeah,
see,
yeah, yeah. That's
it
real.
does to you.
But what you know what I'm saying? What was that? I'm gonna put my hands down. Yo, but what was that like, you know what I'm saying, for the CDL and then for the adjuster?
Well, I'll kind of, you know, if anybody has, you know my story as far as, you know, driving or coming from trucking into adjusting. If you know been on my Twitter, you'll see that I have my little pin post up there. That's my story. That was my motivation to go to move.
Mhm.
And I'll give it real short. You know, I won't tell you the whole thing. Obviously, you already know this, but at the time I was driving for a reefer company. They paid pretty good, but you know, over time, trucking started taxing on my body to the degree where I was starting to get really, really heavy fatigue. And that's my, and obviously that's my fault because every truck driver is responsible for their own health.
Mhm.
And don't let anybody that hears this shouldn't let any, you know, that's your responsibility. Your health
Right.
comes first. And so I think my last drive was going to Atlanta from Deerfield Beach. I was running a Publix account at the time,
Right.
and Publix was paying really good, right? But my body was like, hey, I know they paying good, but I'm gonna have to shut you down real quick because
Yeah.
we can't do this too long. And when I finally had, like, I was on 295, or I'm sorry, not 295, I-285 in Atlanta, and there was this huge breakdown. A truck had a breakdown and backed up 285,
Mhm.
and you know, it was a standstill for like at least about an hour. And in between that hour time, just thinking to myself, like, I got to get out this truck because I'm hurting right now.
Right.
I got to get out this truck. And so, you know, we basically, everybody was parked in the middle of the road, and I literally broke down. Like, not my truck, but me.
Mhm.
I broke down in the truck.
Right.
You know, um, luckily, you know, my dispatch was calling me and, you know, trying to figure out where I was at. You know, obviously you got to answer the phone for them, but I was just really weak at the time, and I
Mhm.
asked, I said, hey, look, I'm not broke down, but like I'm not feeling real good. You know, can somebody come and, you know, help me? I was literally only like 5-10 minutes away from my drop, actually.
Yeah.
So, and we had our company that I was driving with, they had a dispatch center in Atlanta. So they had one of their guys come and, you know, help me get it up to
Yeah.
Publix because I couldn't drive. And so that let me know that I had to get off this truck because it's affecting my health.
100%.
You understand what I'm saying? And so it kind of was like a defining moment, letting me know, like, hey man, you know, if you really want to make your dreams come true, you really want to get and own trucks and all that, you're gonna have to take another route and come back because
Mhm.
you can't do it like this.
Right. And
So
that's
that
very wise. You know what I'm saying?
that's what motivated me to come out the truck. And it hurt because this is your bread and butter, you controlling it, you know what I'm saying? When you out on, I mean, let's be real, you on the road, you feel free.
Yeah.
You could do what you want, do what you know what I'm saying, run your ship how you want to run your ship.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that time it was being taken away from me, or I allowed it to be taken away from me. It showed me that I had to come up with another plan in order to get back in it the way I want. So
Wow. That's
so yeah,
great. That's
that's how
awesome, bro.
yep. So
So what did you see? You know what I'm saying? Why was just insurance adjusting the route? You know, some people will like look at dispatching, freight brokering, and stuff like that. What made adjusting, you know what I'm saying, more appealing?
it is more appealing because I'm still free. And
Mm-hmm.
I value freedom more than I value, the money per se.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if I can make the money and still be free, I'm for that all day. Because that's what trucking is like, right? If
Yeah.
you want to operate, you can go pick up your loads where you want to pick them up. You could, you know, get your dispatch team, dispatch what you want, pick up the
Mm-hmm.
load you want to do. It's all in your court, and I like that. I like having that, ability to be able to get up and go whenever I feel like it. And I was already looking into um adjusting anyway because
Mm-hmm.
I had seen Steven, I'm pretty sure you already know who that is, but
Yeah. Shout out to Steven's story
shout out
on
to Steven
Twitter.
Story.
He's
Shout out to Steven Story, man, for putting everybody on
yeah.
game. Um, I had already been in the insurance industry anyway. As a young adult, I was had my insurance license. I was 21, so I was already
Mm-hmm.
familiar with insurance, and I knew the type of money you can make.
Right.
So when I saw the other side of it, I was like, well, I used to sell the policies that these people are actually adjusting. So why don't I
Mm-hmm.
just see the other side? When I found out how much these people was making and doing the same, having the ability to travel and do whatever they want to do, I was like, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
It's a no-brainer. So, long story short, you already know how that happened. Obviously, I got off the truck in like March or May. I don't know, was it March or April of 2020. Started studying for the test and exam
Mm-hmm.
and all that. Got everything taken care of. Around about December is when I passed my test, right? And I started looking for work from there.
Yeah.
And the rest is history, obviously. So
So for people who don't know, can you define what an insurance adjuster is and what they do?
uh okay, well, basically, insurance adjuster or claims adjuster handles insurance claims on insurance policies, whatever type of policy, anything that has a policy, there's an adjuster attached to it to a degree.
Right.
So it could be car insurance, it could be commercial, I mean trucking insurance. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
guys have trucks. There's an adjuster there. There's a heavy equipment adjuster. So if you guys get into those accidents, those tow trucks come out there, there's an adjuster that sent that tow truck out there to come pick you up.
Mm-hmm.
Now you might be like, oh no, Love's has their own, they don't have no insurance. Trust me, Love's has insurance.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Right.
If they got trucks, they got insurance. There's an adjuster involved, and they cutting the checks to be able to pay for the things that these trucks need, whether
100%.
it be repairs, salvaging the trucks if they get into, accidents. There's an adjuster that handles those issues. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that you don't have to, because that's what you pay them for, right? That's what you pay the insurance company for. So we handle those claims on behalf of the insurance company for the clients, i.e., you, me, and everybody else that got insurance.
Right. So tell me a little bit about, you know what I'm saying, your journey with insurance adjusting so far, like some
Oh
of the
man,
ups and downs,
it's
you know what
been
I'm
great.
saying? I know you love your freedom. Like I 100% understand that. And what's like a day-to-day like with insurance adjusting?
Well, a day to day can vary depending on what type of assignments that you take. Um, I kind of honestly, I kind of see adjusting kind of just like trucking to a degree, because your loads are like assignments,
Mm-hmm.
right? You got to take one load from Pennsylvania to Texas, or from Green Bay, Wisconsin to Sugar Land, Texas to what I'm saying. You're
Right.
It's an assignment. It's an assignment, and you have to travel to go do it in some cases. Like, this assignment, I travel from, obviously from Florida, where I'm from, here to Tennessee to do the job. right? And you get paid for it, right? Day-to-day work can, obviously you'll be on a computer handling, phone calls. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be, getting ragged out by people. It happens. But for the most part, you're calling people to help them resolve the claims that they're calling, that they put in. So it could be making, cutting checks for $10,000, $15,000. It could be settling a salvage for a total loss that happened maybe right outside. Somebody's car could get total, and that claim will come to me, and I'd have to basically pay them out for that vehicle, right?
Right.
Arranging tows, handling injury claims. So if someone goes to the hospital and they got to get medical, assistance, there's insurance claims that's for your medical.
Right.
And so there's an adjuster like myself that would handle that claim, bodily injury. So it is, depending on who you work with, it can be a lot of work. And then of course, depending on if you whatever assignment, whether it's work from home or in office, it can vary the work types. So
right. So you were actually one of the inspirations behind me getting my adjuster license. It's collecting some dust, but
don't worry, don't worry, you can use it this season. It's coming up.
Yeah. So the whole point for me in doing it was just to have options, just like seeing you talk about it on the timeline. I wanted options if trucking didn't work out.
Right.
And while I have money to invest in those types of things, because it's not cheap, the classes and things like that. It's just like getting your CDL. You have to put that money up to get that license.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I wanted to do, is invest in myself. That was an investment in myself so that I could still provide with a great paying in a great paying industry, and not really skip a beat if something did happen with trucking. So I did, I did see you talking about it, and it did kind of motivate me. I forgot to give a kind of rundown on what Matthew's doing right now. He's going to get a COVID test, so he's and we got that going on, but we're getting the interview for you guys. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. This is a lot of great information. So as far as the insurance adjusting, one of the things that I talk about on my channel is financial literacy. So how did that tie into your journey? How does financial literacy tie into your journey? What helped you kind of get in a mindset? Because I know you have some financial savviness. So when did that, occur for you in your career, or along in this timeline?
I just need a test. I'm sorry about that, Chris.
Yeah.
Man. You want the full breakdown of that?
That's what we're here for.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess financial literacy started long before I became an adjuster and before I drove trucks.
Okay.
So, like I said, I had my insurance license when I was 21. So, I had already. Okay, can you look in? That's clean. Sorry about that, Chris. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
We can talk and chew bubblegum at the same time, my man. I'm sorry. Here we go, man. All right, I'm just waiting for them to call me. All right, thank you, man. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. That's the reality. You got to take a COVID test to go back to work. So, so financial literacy started when I got my insurance license at 21. And from there, I just realized, like, I really didn't know anything about money. But insurance showed me so much more about finance and how little I knew, what I needed to know to survive.
Right.
Or not just survive, but to just thrive too, because there's so much, shoot. When I was in trucking, I used a lot of what I learned when I first got my license in trucking, like how to create multiple savings accounts.
Right.
You know what I mean? Having, I a hefty emergency fund. I mean,
Mhm.
you're gonna need that anyway if you're in trucking, because if you go owner operator, everything on you anyway. You know what I mean?
100%. Yep.
From breakdowns to the drill. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, man.
I really used a lot of what I learned from those mentors at that time to teach me about like budgeting, how much I'm gonna spend every week,
Mhm.
or at least I used to set myself up for, like, when I was driving trucks, I used to set aside like I used to set aside at like $1,000. If I ran out of them $1,000 in those 2 weeks before I got paid, I
Mhm.
didn't spend nothing else. That's
Right.
tough because you gotta go. When you go into Loves, you spend
Yeah, yeah.
about 40, $50 just walking in there. You're gonna walk out and spend 50 before you leave Loves.
It's horrible.
It's easy, right? So that really was like, you know, I had to do that because it was just me. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I do that same now as an adjuster, because now I'm making a lot more, obviously, right?
Mhm.
Probably at least, I would probably say at least I'm making 10 times more than I was doing when I was driving.
Mhm.
So when you start seeing those checks, 5, 6, 7, you know, on average, minimum, and really that's a minimum, 10,000 a month, you tend to splurge
Right.
because you got the bread, right? So I had to implement that into what I do now because it's coming in so fast. You know what I mean? And you know, it's actually, you really don't have a choice, honestly, because just like trucking, your truck breakdown, you can't make no money, right?
Mhm.
Well, in adjusting, if you don't handle your job right, you can get dismissed from the deployment
Mhm.
and you'll be out of work then.
Right.
So, and also sometimes deployments will just end, right? You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
tomorrow, I could go into work right now tomorrow, and they could say, "Hey, the deployment's over with."
Right.
You mean? So, what'd you do those last 6 months? Did you save anything? Did you invest anything? Did you make
Mhm.
investments? So, financial literacy plays a big role on both sides, whether you in trucking or you're an adjuster, because one way or another, you still solo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you gotta keep it together.
No, I appreciate that because that's been a topic of conversation since I got on Twitter. It was one of the reasons behind, you know what I'm saying, um, me really starting my platform and talking and it really just helped, you know what I'm saying, give me a voice, just talking about financial literacy. So that's how I found some of my mentors online. Um, and that's what kind of put me in the financial literacy circle or whatever we're in on Twitter. I
Yeah.
don't know what to call it.
Uh, Money Twitter,
I don't know.
literacy Twitter, whatever you want to
Entrepreneurship.
call it.
Yeah.
We just know everybody that's in there is making some, decent strides as far as, and
Hmm.
it might not even just be money, because, just in their career and their life, everybody's focused on improving. You understand what I'm
100%.
saying? So that's why I sometimes kind of like, rub the shoulder, gets rough a little bit when people say money Twitter, because it's not necessarily about money, because we're all trying to excel, like I said, whether it be trucking, adjusting, tech, whatever.
Hmm.
All of us are still learning and growing to be the best versions that we can of ourselves in our careers, lives, whatever. So I don't care what they call it, we're improving. So that's all that
100%.
matters. So
100%. So I kind of like touched on mentorship, and I believe so did you. What do you think the importance of mentorship is in life and a career, and what's your
mm,
take?
mentorship across the board. I mean, personally, I think everybody to some degree should have a mentor.
Hmm.
Um, I don't care if it's um, relationship, a mentor, like obviously that's vetted, obviously someone who's married,
Right.
right? Um, especially in your career, because there are things that, people will be able to give you the heads up on that you won't have to deal with later if you just had a mentor. You had somebody, quote unquote confidant, if you will,
Hmm.
that looks out for you in certain areas that you just are not aware of. Like, like if I had somebody that was telling me that that lease purchase thing was a bad idea, I would have never did it.
Right.
But I'm young, I'm ambitious, I want to jump in and make my own lane. had I known that, this is it wasn't a lost cause, it could have obviously, worked out better had we had more funds. That's something that a mentor probably would have been able to tell me. So having a mentor
100%.
is important. Just and even in adjusting, I have a mentor in adjusting, and I have multiple mentors in insurance adjusting. Stephen being one of them, obviously, but there's other people that are on these deployments that are with that have already been where you at, literally. Like they know the game and they know how to play the game very, very well, to the degree and where they don't have to work very much. Like a lot of these people that are on deployments that you might see, they're only here just to stack up, but they also understand, like, after I'm done stacking up, I ain't got to deal with the bullshit that come with it. I can up and go because I built up enough one, cash flow. I built up enough savings that I don't have to deal with the office politics that come with adjusting in some cases.
Kind of cut up.
More.
There we go.
I'm sorry, but yeah, I paid at least $2,000 or more for a mentor.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. I have no problem paying for a mentor, because that $2,000 could save me, could end up becoming a $50,000 come up by just getting the advice that I need. You know what I mean? In fact, it actually did, because I took a mentorship class when I came into adjusting, and I learned how to do my claims so well, to a point where I became a manager at one of the firms on my first deployment. So I was getting skilled very quickly. The folks said, "Hey, you know how to do this. We don't need you here in Texas long. You can go back home." They offered me work from home.
Yeah.
Because I, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't learn that. I would have never knew what to do if I didn't have that mentor telling me,
Right.
Have your claims like this, double back on your claims at the end of the day, and clean up anything that you might, that might be a red flag. They start seeing that, they're going to see that you know what you're doing. And lo and behold, I'm sitting at home, which really should have been a whole month training. It should have been a 2-week training, ended up being a month training at the actual facility. And then they sent me home and paid me $450 a day.
Wow.
$450 a day. And then they bumped it up because they wanted me to be a manager and manage eight other adjusters. So now I'm making $550, almost $600 a day sitting at home.
That's awesome.
I'll pay $2,000 for that. Okay.
So with being said, when people listen to this interview, they're gonna want to do research and they're gonna want to know more about this industry. How do we get that information to them? What steps do you recommend? Courses or books or YouTube? I don't know how. Well, I know, but what would you say?
Hands down. Obviously there are folks that are going to be, the go-getters, the ones that will do their own research, right? Folks like myself, who I didn't at the time, I was already searching out things. So some people like to be handheld, and I mean, that's okay, I guess, to some degree, but at some point you're gonna have to do your own research and figure out what path that you want to go. But one of the best ways you can, if you're really interested in getting into that industry, is like I said, shout out to my boy Steven. He's got an entire breakdown course that goes step by step and shows you how to go from 0 to being licensed in less than 30 to 60 days, and on the rosters for these the IA firms, and most likely probably higher within that same time, because it showed that course will show you exactly how to write your resume the right way, how to put the proper licensing together and certifications that will make you attractive when it's time to get hired.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so you can obviously go to Steven's story. You can find him on Twitter, right? Steven Story, or you can find him on Instagram, Steven C Story. You can go to my Instagram, right? If you want to. You can find me on there. It's God of More, or you can find me on Twitter as Adjuster Bro.
And I think God of More, I think you spell it GAWD.
GAWD, yeah, OF, and then MORE. You You can find me on Instagram. But I interact the best on Twitter, obviously, because that's where we have the largest community of active. I'm not saying sitting at home, active adjusters making money, active folks that done got licensed within the last 6 months or more, that are working.
Yep.
And we can show them how to get working within that time period, like very, very quickly. It's gonna take some grit. I'm just gonna be honest with you. You're gonna have to put some work in. That's just how it works.
Yep.
Because these people aren't gonna pay you $10,000 a month to sit on your backside.
Right.
So, so if you want that information, you can link up with Chris. You can link up with me. Link up with Steven. We'll get you right. We can show you how to do that.
Yeah, I'll definitely tag your Instagram handles, Twitter handles, and stuff like that in the description of this video. Is there anything that you want to say? I want to say, like, seeing your growth and just watching you on Twitter has been amazing. I'm glad that you're in the position you're in. Like you said, I kind of saw the ups and downs and stuff like that. We interacted in the timeline via DM, and I just wanted to get you on here because you've made strides, bro, and it's been like something to look at. It's been like something
I appreciate it, man.
really awesome to see.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
And to still be here, making moves and hearing you talk about your goals and aspirations. I know you're gonna, reach them because I've seen, like you said, the lows and the highs, and I know you're not done yet. But if there's anything you want to say, just to let the people know, I want to wrap the interview up. I know you got things to do. I want to say, thank you again for coming. I
Thanks for having me, brother.
yeah, I
Thanks.
think this was a really good interview. But Matthew, you got the floor, man. Let them know.
Man, I'll be honest with you. I would say whether you're in trucking or you're planning on to come off that truck at some point and become an adjuster and kind of take your quote unquote time back, because either way you're still giving time up on either industry. You got to welcome the lows too. Welcome the lows that come with the transitions. Okay. We all know trucking is a hard job, right? Whether you're doing reefer, whether you're doing flatbed, right? Heavy haul, it's hard work. You're gonna have some lows, right? Some of the bad days, just prepare for them. They're going to be there, so you can't avoid them. Just and same in adjusting. You're gonna have some bad days. But the great part about that is that those bad days will teach you how to make more of the good days. And then you'll learn how to strategically make more good days, because now you already been through that runner already.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now you know how to fix your day. Like, okay, all right, I did this yesterday. This gonna set me up for tomorrow. This gonna set me up for the week.
Yep.
And that's a skill that you have to develop over time, as you come into this industry. And even with trucking, same way. I mean, you know how far you need to drive to get to the next destination, right?
Right.
You know what you got to do to get past a couple roadblocks you might see an hour up, or some snow that's coming up. You know what you got to do. You got to arrange your route to get around it. You might have to drop down, to another interstate because you don't want to get stuck on 40, or you got to just use that time, plan your days out, plan your schedule out on how you're going to do your day, because either way you're independent. Either way you're for yourself in that truck, and you for yourself working these claims. Prepare your day. That's what's going to make the most money for you. It's going to alleviate the most stress. That's just my tip on that part. But as far as making a career jump, man, anybody that's interested in that, adjusting, trucking, reach out to obviously Chris. He's got the best guy I've seen so far. If you're trying to become a truck driver, he's got he's got it. Okay. I wish I had that guy when I first started. It would have probably had saved me $6,000
Mm,
easy, because that's what I paid out. I could have, I could have got my license for free damn near if
hmm
I knew about the information that you had. You know what I'm saying? So look into that. Anybody that sees that, y'all link in with Chris. He know what he talking about. Not just Chris, but other people that are in the industry that Chris knows. If he's
hmm
recommending people, listen to what he's saying. He knows what he's talking about. I promise you. I've met some of the people he's talking about. I've met them on the road. All right. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Link in with the winners. Link in with the folks that's already making the money. Careers progressed. Link with those people.
Right.
So that's all I got.
100%. I appreciate it, man. Matthew, thanks for coming to the channel. It's your boy ChrisLeeTv. It's my guy Matthew. We out. Until next time. Deuces.